Great, so this is a very different room from where we usually have these inaugural lectures. Usually it's in a very formal setting in the aula, the main building, so given the more wider audience that is expected to come in this setting, I'm going to start a little bit with a bit of broader start than usual, so that we can all get on the same page. I'm going to add a couple extra minutes to the talk before the main talk. I want to start by asking who here in this room has actually studied economics? And who has not studied economics? So more than half have not studied economics. Okay, so those of you who understand all the specialist terms, bear with me. I'm going to go a little bit step by step. It's going to be very hard to satisfy all of you. Some of you will be bored out of your mind because it's all obvious, and some of you will find it's very complicated. I'm going to try to find some sort of equilibrium. Okay, so same goes for that question, what can economics contribute to public policy? For half of you it's probably obvious, but that's one thing that economics do. For those of you who think the whole world thinks that way, I want to remind you of some quotes that we often hear. An economist is an expert who will know tomorrow why things predicted yesterday didn't happen today. Economists are people who wonder if what works in reality can also work in theory. And here are some economists saving the world. So I think many people would think that it's not at all clear that economists have anything to contribute to public policy. I'm going to try to convince you otherwise tonight or this afternoon. Also, like, even when people know that economics is about policy, usually they think it's about macroeconomics, financial markets, monetary policy. Even I did a poll on my Twitter feed last couple of days, and people who follow me probably are particularly more informed about economics, and still 20% of people who responded to what they, I made a poll what people think academic economists do. 20% thought we do macroeconomic predictions. So I don't do macroeconomic predictions, and most economists actually don't. Some of us do, and that's great, but there's many fields in economics, okay? So you may have heard in Zurich, there's a lot of people who do behavioral, sort of psychology in economics. There's development economics, which is what I study, with developing countries, lower income countries. There's statistics in economics, there's history in economics, education, or finance, everyone has heard about it. There's many fields, and I know many people in the general population don't even know that that's what we study. And I think if you have young people in your life who are choosing what to study at the university, they may be interested in economics and not know it, so please share the secret. So what I do is, development economics and public finance. So more and more getting into this public finance, which is how the government is funded. So taxes and how the government purchases things, so public procurement. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And another thing is also economics has many different methods. Some of you may have heard about statistics, some of you might have heard about the theories, and so in my research I tried to combine a bit both economic theory and then practical fieldwork to actually talk to people and institutions and find out about the context, and then in the end you combine that with quantitative empirical analysis, and often there's a sort of iterative process where I go back and forth between the different methods. So a growing strand of economics research, as many of you in this room know and have worked on, is focused on how can we measure impacts of policies and how the policies impact people. And how can we tease out the effect, because so many things happen at the same time in the economy, how can we even know the cause and effect of a given policy? So little test, so this is for those who have not studied economics to answer. So imagine something, so across the line it's time going, so this is, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5 there is a school reform, say, or some policy, right, say school reform. And on the up and down axis, we could measure some outcome, let's say, for example, test scores, okay? So then school reform happens at the blue line, then the trend goes up after that, right? So you see how the grades change after the reform. So raise your hand, who of you looking at this thinks that it looks like the reform actually improved test scores? Who thinks it made test scores worse? Okay, who is shy? Okay, so many of us would look at this at first and think, okay, reform happens, tests go up more, so this is going to be that the reform helped. So what we implicitly assume when we think that is that without the reform, school grades would have continued on the same trajectory as before, and therefore the impact is in the red up arrow. That's what we sort of implicitly assume. But we don't actually know. It could have been the case that without the reform, school grades would have improved even more, and the reform actually made things worse. Like, imagine at the same time, they hired more teachers. And so the school grades would have gone up a lot, but because of the reform, they went up less. So this all the time happens in economics, that so many things happen at the same time, and we have this challenge to find out what's the cause and effect here. So economists, and other quantitative social sciences have worked hard on finding empirical methods to try to measure these things. So one of the methods that many of you might have heard about are randomized experiments. You know that from science in the lab, so then also psychologists and economists do that sometimes in the lab. You give people different exercises to do, and you randomly give them different conditions, and you see how people respond. You can study human behavior. And then in more policy-oriented research, we can actually do field experiments. I'm going to show you some where we actually do randomized interventions outside of the lab. And then there's also, which fewer people know, a lot of methods that are not randomized experiments, but are what we call quasi-random or natural experiments that are trying to use real policies that happen in the real world in a way that we can construct a valued comparison group to still be able to tease out the effect. So they have fancy names, your regression discontinuity design, difference in differences, matched event study, incremental variables. Obviously, I'm not going to teach you all of those in the next 45 minutes, but I'm going to show you some examples of research nevertheless that we've been doing using these methods, and it's quite exciting that we can actually use existing data to study policies and measure the effects. And I often work very closely also, as you'll see in the examples, with policymakers, and ideally trying to address questions that are also of interest to them and also of interest to academics. So hopefully research can then serve both for policy interests and for academia. So here's where the actual lecture starts. So the outline, I'm going to illustrate this type of research with 4 examples from my work. First one was already mentioned in the introduction. It's about savings, how access to the ability to save can help improve people's well-being, and how can we help people save more. And then project 2, 3, and 4 go more this public finance area. So the first is about taxes in Chile and how information and sources of information can really help to collect more taxes. And the third is about how it's not that easy, and when you're starting from a low level of tax compliance, just having information may not be enough. And lastly, I'm going to talk about audits, which are also important for tax evasion, because you want to check whether somebody paid their taxes correctly, but is also very relevant in other areas of public policy. And we actually find that if you're not careful, you could by accident do the audits in a way that backfires and gives the exact opposite effect of what the policymakers intended. Okay, so we're going to start on savings. So everyone obviously knows when you're poor, the main characterization of being poor is you don't have a lot of money. But what many people are not maybe so aware is that it's also very irregular. So it's not just little money, but it comes in spurts. You have many periods. If you are, for example, working on a farm, there's times of the year where there is nothing growing. And if you are employed, then oftentimes these are day laborers or short-term jobs, and you have a job and then you don't. So your income is very unstable. In addition, your expenditures are very unstable because there's no health insurance, there's no funeral insurance, there's many, suddenly you have to take care of somebody else's child because their parent is sick, and so your expenses are also more irregular. So poor people oftentimes have much higher risks in addition to lower income. And they have very limited access to insurance, and they also have very limited access to banks. And so if you put money aside for those difficult times could be really helpful, and this is what we wanted to look at in this study to see whether access to a savings account could help as a form of self-insurance for people. We worked with a microfinance institution in Chile, These are the members, so these are low income within Chile. So this is not, it's not the same as when I'm going to talk later about a project I'm doing with Lorenzo in Kenya. Low income Kenya is a different thing from low income in Chile, but still low income in Chile is pretty low. So these are women who have a little store, they sell a few things. I remember one lady makes cake, one lady does people's hair, and so they have these exact patterns, sometimes business as well, sometimes it's not, sometimes they have money, sometimes they need money, and so we want to see whether we could help them to have a savings account. Now, they are a member of a microfinance organization, which means they are getting loans from the organization. They're meeting already every week for business loans, and so we are going to use those weekly meetings as you will see. So I'm going to tell you a bit about the process, right? How we work with this context. So I started with an organization like Kunsthalle Zurich. The big challenge is to find topic of mutual interest. So if you see on the left, these are the interests of Kunsthalle. So they will be interested in what will help my organization and what will help the needs currently, right now, of the members of my organization. Versus as an academic, I need to publish something in an academic journal that hopefully is testing some more general theories, is helping us to understand mechanisms about human behavior or institutions, and is finding some generalizable lessons that will be useful outside of the institution of Kunsthalle Zurich. So we're more concretely, they might wonder, what do our members want? Will savings account make them better off? How can we help our members use the accounts? What's the impact? I might care about things like testing hyperbolic discounting or developing commitment devices, or what's the portfolio analysis, or what's going to happen to people's finances. So they sound very different. But actually there is often a joint areas of this overlap section where we can find joint research interests that are useful for the organization at the same time, hopefully interesting beyond that. That's the goal. Doesn't always succeed, but in this case I think we did, and we found two areas. One was what is the impact of getting access to a savings account? Can it help participants, as I just said, to self-insure and protect against economic risk? And second, what mechanisms can help people who are in the informal sector, so who have these irregular jobs, or to actually save more? So economists have before that already developed a lot of helpful methods to help both in a steady job save more. For example, you can sign up for a system where automatically from your salary a certain percentage is deposited in a savings account, or we all here have pensions that's sometimes mandatory and sometimes optional, but it's once you sign up, money is getting saved for you without thinking. So, but how can we do something that approaches something like that when you don't have a regular wage where we could regularly put something to the side for you? Okay, so we started by doing focus groups. So this is where they have it's one of the locations where they have these weekly meetings. So we went to many of these locations and had conversations with them, and we asked them things like, what do you do when you have more money than usual? Like, that's the moment where you would potentially save. What do you do when you have less money than usual? What helps you save? What makes it hard? And people share from their lives. And two key things stood out for us. So this was actually together with Felipe Castro, who's sitting here, who was a classmate of mine, later became a politician in Chile, actually. But so we spent many hours talking to the ladies from the organization, and they shared with us that two things for us that stood out. First, they said many of these women actually said we do want to save more. Okay, so we really would like to. It's kind of hard when we have that extra money in the pocket, and you walk around, and then two things can happen. You would think, okay, I should save the money, but it's right here, or it's in the drawer at home, and either I'm going to already spend it on my way home for some candy. These are not rich people, right? One-time candy, it's like the same thing that you will not have that money to take a cab to go to the hospital when your kid is sick. So we have that same, all of us, right? We can't spend money on candy that we didn't want to. Maybe it was about money, maybe it was about dieting, but we all know the experience, right? So same thing happens, but if you can never put it in the savings account, you have that temptation all the time. So people were saying, I'd like it not to be in my pocket. And then one of the things that many people, to our surprise, mentioned is what they do is they use their family and friends. So I remember distinctly one person said, I give it to my mother-in-law because I really don't like her. And so I will only ask her for money back if it's a real emergency. But many people mentioned relatives or friends as a commitment device, as a way to help them stick to the money. Oh, I forgot to mention the other thing. One is you could spend it on the candy. The other is people come and ask you for money. So this is an environment where people are poor. So somebody will come and they'll say, hey, I don't have money. I have an emergency. Or even I don't have money. Give me the money. I'm going to go out for drinks with my friends. You know. And so one thing is you might spend it, but the other thing is also you have to protect the money from other people. That's another way why it's hard to save. So this convinced us that really these people potentially could benefit from savings account. And that maybe we could use this system of peers to help people save more. And so we did this randomized study where we worked together with Kunsthalle Zurich and form a bank, because Kunsthalle Zurich can't give out savings account. And so this gave the participants access to a free savings account. And so here you see, this is the same lady was one of the initial pictures. She goes to the bank. She's not very used to going to these formal spaces, so it was one of the big things was also helping people open the account. It was free, there was no fee, there was no hassle. And want to see what's the impact of that, just making it easier for people to have a savings account. And the second was that we also wanted to see what helps people, what makes it more likely that people will use it. And so the first variant was that we gave a 5% higher interest rate. To see this more the classical economics, we think about incentives, and so maybe if there's more of a return on the money, people will save more. And the second was with these peers, with other people. So it's kind of like Alcoholics Anonymous, but under Savers Anonymous, where you would use your peers in the weekly meetings to reach your goal. So this is like a weekly meeting. Here you see they have these ledgers, and so in the beginning of a quarter, people could announce, I want to participate in the savings game, if you will. And in each meeting, they would then verify for each lady, have you done what people came with their receipt to show, I made my deposit or I didn't make my weekly deposit. And if you did, you got some stickers, you got some recognition, people will clap. There was no financial return. So this is what the experimental decided. So these are all the members of the organization. So some people were in the control group that didn't get an account. The treatment group all got help with opening this savings account. And then within the savings account, we randomly assigned some people to the basic account, some to the high interest, and some to the peer group account. So the different groups are randomly assigned. Okay, the first question that we then addressed was, what is the impact of having access to such a formal savings account? And we came back 1 year later and to measure, and the main findings were as follows. So first, which we didn't expect, is that people had actually less debt and less outstanding payments. So the first thing they apparently did is pay back their mother-in-law, right? And so they had apparently substituted using credit in emergencies to using savings in emergencies, so they didn't have to ask others for favors and for loans. And this seemed to be reflected in that they were much less worried about their financial future. So subjectively, they just felt less stressed, and they were perceived that their economic difficulties had been less. And specifically, we could also measure when they had an economic difficulty, that they had less need to actually cut back their consumption. So when we asked things like, did you have to skip a meal because of financial difficulties? Or did you have to stop giving your child food to go to the school? Or did you have to walk a long distance instead of taking the bus? And those type of things were less. The second point was that the self-help peer group really made a big difference. So there was a 3.7-fold increase in the number of deposits and a doubling of the balance of the savings in the account. So here you can see that those who had the basic account and those who had the peer group, and so after a year they had much higher savings. The interest rate, interestingly, for 99% of people, it made exactly no difference. There's a very small group who probably moved money over from another place where they had it, who really took advantage of the high interest. Even though we made actually a really big deal out of this, there was a whole class to explain why interest rates are great and how that money is going to compound, it's going to be wonderful, it had no impact. So as an economist, interesting, peers helped, incentives, not so much. Then we saw this big impact, we were thinking, why does this work? Okay, this peer group has so many aspects. Could be because peer pressure, I'm embarrassed, I don't maybe even want to say, but I'm doing this to make a good impression. Or it could be motivation of seeing other people saying, I want to keep up with people saying. Or it could just be the regular reminders, or maybe it's the stickers, or whoever, yeah, so many things. So we try to isolate a bit the different things. And we wanted to also understand, can we make this more accessible so you don't have to go to physical meetings. So in the second study, in the same setting, with text messages that were supposed to, or SMS that were supposed to simulate what happens at the meeting. So again, randomized study, here just among people who already had a savings account within this group now. And one group didn't get any text message. The second group got a text message, and there was supposed to be, you know, like in the groups, I thought, this is all the peer pressure, right? You do it because you made a public commitment. It's now embarrassing not to do it. Like, I would have never not showed up today because I would be very embarrassed because you all are waiting here. And so I thought that they just do it because of peer pressure. So my expectation was that this second treatment would really work. And how that works is you can choose a body, somebody that you think is going to really follow up and motivate that you do reach your goal. And so both you and your body would get a text message every week that would, from the bank, that would say, congratulations, you made your deposit, or oops, you didn't make your deposit, next week is another chance. And the body would get a message saying, Dina didn't make her weekly deposit, please encourage her to save more. Okay, so I thought that's what's going to do the trick. The third treatment didn't have that, it just had whether I made my deposit and whether other people made the deposit. And to my surprise, it turned out, first, not to my surprise, the text messages really worked, but to my surprise, it made absolutely no difference if you had the savings body. So they had very similar effects. So it seems like an effect was very similar to actually the whole peer group treatment, with the whole shebang and stickers and coordinators and meetings, which was much more difficult to implement. So the good news is you don't need meetings necessarily, and you don't need somebody making people feel bad. But maybe what is driving this is really this regular follow-up and finding people giving feedback. Yes, you know, you did it, oh, you didn't, but you can do it again. Just that. And it's very nice. And since that study now, obviously in many areas of life, you now get these text message reminders because others have also found that they really work. And so I think this program, the bank has used it for a while after that. So the big takeaways, I guess, from this study is that free savings accounts can make a positive difference in people's lives. In this case, they really increase people's well-being, reduce worry, help them to cope with economic risk, and they have less debt with family and friends. And the second part is that regular follow-ups can help people stick to their savings goals, either with these peer groups or with this SMS. It's also nice, you know, some people like the peer group thing because it's a social thing, but some people hate that peer group thing, and it's great that there's different technologies. And it's interesting that high interest really didn't seem to make a big difference. Then we also went back, you know, there's a part where you start the collaboration at the end. It's sometimes researchers forget to go back, and we presented the research to the organization, but also there was like a Social Workers Association of Chile, and we presented this to a lot of audiences, and then we don't know if it's related. We just know 2 years later, the government of Chile introduced a free savings account for every Chilean citizen. So if you have a ID number, there's a bank account waiting for you. So I don't know, it's possible, might go out there and became a politician later, I don't know, but at least the time we suggested, who knows, maybe might have influenced that decision. Okay, so this is a nice story, right? Savings, people are less worried, we can help them. When I tell people about this project, everyone thinks what I do is really nice and amazing. Then I tell people about that we work on taxes, and people get really disinterested and start to talk about football or something else. So I'm going to try to convince you why we should care about taxes. So actually taxes are super exciting because everything else is because of taxes. You don't think about development policy, about education and health and savings accounts for everyone in Chile. Right? Who's paying for that? Taxes. So taxes are sexy. So that's why I got more and more excited about studying taxes. Because really, to execute any of its various roles, the state cannot exist. The current state, how we think of the state in a country like Switzerland, where the government has a big role in the economy, it can't exist in the long run without effective taxation. But actually it's not that long that this is how states have been. So in rich countries too, here you see the UK, the US, Sweden, and France. It's hard to read here, but like where it starts to climb, it's 1920. So until 1920, there were very, very low taxes. And so the modern state, how we think about it, it's only a quite recent phenomenon. But in low-income countries today, we're still there. Right? So we have here the lower-income regions. You see the color is less strong. It means they have a smaller share of GDP that they collect in taxes. So that means very low taxes because, right, GDP is all the things the economy produces. So poorer countries already have less of that. And now you take a smaller percent, so that means the governments in low-income countries have very limited resources. And so in helping increase tax collection, it really helped a lot to help the governments be able to provide all the infrastructure and roads and social services and things that make for a more efficient economy and for a more prosperous state. And so a big challenge and one of the reasons why low-income countries' taxes are lower is in order to be able to tax something, you need to have information about the thing you want to tax. And here, everything's electronic, everything's automatic, the government is easy, has a lot of access to a lot of information. But if you think about lower income countries, so we talked about those ladies, right, who have irregular jobs and they sell cake, and there's no paper trail, there's no proof that they had any sales. So government can't tax that. So the economy is much less formal, and so it's much harder to tax. So how can governments collect more information? One potential solution is you get one agent in the economy sort of to tattletale on the other. We do that a lot in our economy. So it's called, then what's created is called a paper trail. So say, I'm employed by the University of Zurich now. The university will send a form about my salary to the government. So now the government knows that I had income. I can't just say, oops, no, I actually volunteered. They know, and so there's a paper trail that shows that I had revenue. And so in many areas we have these paper trails, and one idea is that these paper trails can really help government collect more taxes. So this was a project that I worked together with the Chilean Tax Authority to study this phenomenon in the value-added tax. So this team that worked with me, 3 of them are still actually working there, and I still work with the same tax authority. So we have that same process about finding areas that they're interested in and finding areas that I'm interested in and finding common areas of research, and we have done a bunch of studies. And what's also nice, by the way, this is a comment for academics, if it doesn't work out academically, but you start in this way, we had a bunch of studies that turned out there was no effect, it was not interesting. That fact is also interesting for the tax authority, so at least you spend a year doing something that doesn't work out, there's somebody who cares about that analysis, and that's really actually nice. So we want to study this paper trail in the value-added tax. We talked about randomized evaluation. You can randomly give some people a savings account and not give some other people a savings account. But you can't randomly tax some people and not tax some other people. Right? The government can't do that. It's illegal. But you can't give randomly some people a value-added tax and some people not. So you can't randomize tax regimes. So we tried to think really hard, what can we do to still measure the effect of the VAT in a really indirect way? And the thing that the tax authorities can do is they can choose who to audit, and they can choose the information that they share with different taxpayers. And so what we found is that taxes that are equivalent in the standard economics model, in this case a value-added tax versus a sales tax, in economic theory they end up being exactly the same. They're actually very different in how much information they sort of leak to the government. And so they actually become very different when you consider tax administration. So let me just briefly explain the value-added tax. So Switzerland, everyone probably knows because we have one. So how it works is, if this is a firm 1 that sells to firm 2 sells to firm 3, imagine, so if firm 3, they pay their taxes, they pay sales minus input costs, called value added, right? So the difference between what you buy and what you sell. So how you would cheat on that is you lie and you say, no, I didn't sell anything or didn't sell as much. Or you lie and say I had many, many more costs. And so, okay, so now the paper trail happens because firm 2 wants to deduct their input costs. So they're going to ask firm 1 for a receipt, so they can deduct it. So now there's proof in the books of firm 2 that firm 1 has sold something. And the same thing, firm 3 in his book will have proof that firm 2 sold something. And so between firms, there's a so-called VAT chain, where there's a paper trail with all the transactions. But that doesn't happen at the last stage when you sell to the final consumer, right? And you go to a store here, you don't ask for a receipt. You don't, I mean, maybe you get one for your books, because you want to track your expenses, but for your taxes, you don't need a receipt. So most of us will go to a store, we buy something, fine. So there is an incentive to ask for a receipt between 2 firms and not between the firm and the final consumer. So we exploited that. In the first experiment, the tax authority sent letters to firms nationwide to understand how does the VAT chain affect tax enforcement. And in fact, does the paper trail between firms kind of substitute for the audit probability? So the government sent 100,000 letters. They said, we would like to inform you that in the process of random selection among small and medium-sized firms, your firm has been selected for careful analysis, and if we find any irregularities, you might be summoned for an audit. So notice we said that it's random selection. That came partly out of this qualitative work, because we interviewed a lot of people. We saw that if we don't say it's a random selection, we're really freaking people out. Because you imagine you get a letter from the government that says you have been selected for careful analysis. You know, what people also told us is like, oh my god, I'm going to be so worried, and then I'm going to go to my accountant, and I'm going to pay a lot of money to find out what I did wrong, and you know, that's really bad, we're hurting people. And so when we tell you it's a random selection, you know you don't worry that you did anything wrong. So we did this qualitative pre-testing is really helping to make the intervention be more fair and more effective. Okay, so here's what we found. So where there was no paper trail, sales to the final consumer, huge response. Where there was a paper trail already, no response. Right? So it seems like where there was a paper trail, we didn't need to say we're going to watch carefully because firms are sort of watching each other with these receipts. So this suggests that it's highly effective. Well, so now, okay, non-economists, when we look at this, like, looks great, very convinced. Economists will say, no, not convinced, because, you know, maybe sales to the final consumer are just different in many possible ways, so I want to see the actual effect. Okay, so challenge, you know, if there's no evasion, how can we show the effect? So we chose a sample of 3,000 firms where we suspected evasion. And specifically, they all the time reported losses. They had always more cost than revenue, but they never went out of business. So that looked quite suspicious. Maybe they're very optimistic, but more likely they were just lying. So they were small, rural, and probably correctly expected that nobody would come check on them. So in the randomized treatment, we informed half of the sample that they would be audited, and the other half didn't tell them anything. But then we invited all of them, I'm saying the tax authority invited all of them for an audit, and in the audit they could see who their trading partners were. And so then we compared what happens to the trading partner of a firm who was told this, compared to a trading partner of a firm who wasn't. And the idea is that if I receive a notification that I will be audited, and remember the VAT chain, what am I going to do? I'm going to make sure that I have all the receipts from my supplier, so that I can take those deductions. So that if I know that I'm now being watched, I'm more likely to ask for receipts. So if that happens, we would expect that my supplier might now start to pay more taxes, because there's more paper trail about his sales. On the other hand, that shouldn't happen with my clients. If this is just us all talking and us saying, look, they're starting to audit us, I guess we should also start to comply in the countryside, then you wouldn't see a difference between the supplier and the client, because we would all just start to comply. But if it's that mechanism about the receipt, I'm only going to ask for receipt from the supplier, not from the client. So that's exactly what we found. So we found that after firms were told that they would be audited, not just them, but their suppliers started to pay more taxes. But their clients didn't. And so that really seemed to show that we can jumpstart this VAT mechanism into action by injecting deterrence into the system. So the implications, I guess, is that the VAT does seem to really exploit in a smart way this receipt chain of the supply chain as a way to facilitate monitoring and increasing tax compliance. And this can make a big difference between a tax that leaves a stronger paper trail and another tax that doesn't. Or maybe the digitalization that's happening now, more and more things that will have, will be traceable. But also what we saw in the second experiment is it's not automatic, right? Just because you have information, it's not enough. You need to have credible deterrence that you think somebody's actually going to check on this. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And we saw much more of this in the second study in Ecuador, where we wanted to see what happens when a country tries to introduce this type of policy. So Ecuador had just acquired the capability to cross-check. Imagine all these receipts, right? These are millions and millions of receipts, and so it's very hard actually computationally to cross-check these. So they got the system to work, and they just started, and then they took the 9,000 firms with the biggest discrepancies in the country, and they sent them a notification saying, hey, we saw there's hundreds of thousands of dollars missing in your sales. Please rectify that. You can prove you have more sales. So will this work, guys? Big question. So the challenge is, okay, third-party information is very incomplete in a country like Ecuador. Some information is there, some is not. Compliance starts from a very low level because this has never been checked before. And the other aspects of the tax system are still relatively weak. So, okay, this is the letter, very similar to the other one, but more specific. After careful cross-check, the tax administration has estimated that the revenue that your firm received during 2008, 9, or 10 fiscal year is larger than what you reported, and here's by how much. And so this is kind of typical, like, $190,000 missing. We took the biggest discrepancy. So what happened? Sadly, first, a large share of firms did not respond at all. Okay. Second, okay, first good news, firms that did respond increased their reported sales. Actually, 109 million in additional sales were filed. But they also increased their reported costs. Okay, so then in the end, the government made $2.3 million in extra money. So that's not nothing. I mean, it's a small country, in a lower income country, and this is much more than the program cost, but still, this is way less than what the government had hoped. So at this point, they started working with us to try to figure out what's going on. This, by the way, is not a randomized experiment. It's a natural experiment. So we just came in, they had done this, and we helped them analyze it. So the evidence here consists of different theoretical models, and we tried to reconcile, which model could be more appropriate by both doing a lot of focus groups and interviews with tax officials, firm owners or tax lawyers, and then going back to the data and checking what they said that makes sense, and we get back to the people. So after a long back and forth, here's what we found. So first, starting at the very low level of enforcement makes it really hard, right? So if word gets out that 9,000, I don't know exactly 9,000, but thousands of letters like this went out. So it's obvious to everyone that they can't audit 9,000 firms. And so if you don't respond, you can just sort of hope that they will never get around to auditing you if you just don't respond. Because enforcement is actually very costly, it's not just automatic. Even if the government knows you cheated, they may never come, because so many of you are cheating. So maybe actually better if the government, instead of sending 9,000, next time they do something like this, they send 50. Because they can audit 50, and so then if you don't respond to that, they audit each and every one who doesn't respond. Next year, people will know this time letter is a very serious letter. So the next year, maybe you can send 100. Then out of the 100, there's going to be 50 who are going to take the chance. But then 50 already complied because last year was a bad experience. And over time, you can make it to 9,000. But building deterrence power takes time. It's not like a light switch that you can just switch on. So when we sit sometimes in rich countries and say, why don't they just blah, right? Probably because just blah is very hard. It's very hard. And so this is a thing that, it took rich countries, decades to build this type of deterrence that we have now. But why do we respond immediately if we get a notice from the tax authorities? Because we know everyone else also responds, and the few who don't will get audited. Okay, the second thing is that the firm over-reporting their costs, then in just making up fake costs here, right? The third-party reporting is really useless because third-party reporting gives you a minimum flow. I know you had at least this amount of revenue, and now I can say, okay, you only reported $100 in revenue, I know you had 5,000, clearly you're under-reporting. But if you're over-reporting costs, A minimum floor doesn't help me at all. So then you get it back to the problem that now you have to go audit the firms. And so the third-party reporting can't just fix that problem if some of the items are things you want to over-report. And last, I'm going to go very quick on this, is just that actually some firms were under-reporting costs because they were trying to fly under the radar of the tax authority. And so instead of reporting a lot of revenue and even more costs and looking very suspicious, they reported very little revenue and very little cost, and then they looked like a small firm that was reasonably profitable and didn't raise any red flags. And so some of these extra costs that were filed later were actually true costs that they just had never filed. So one of the policy changes that they made following this study was to disallow filing extra costs once the government has already reprimanded you for underreporting revenue. So the takeaway, I guess, jointly on this third-party reported paper trails is that in principle, this type of information can play a very important role for tax collection, but it's not a quick and simple fix. And it's a gradual process of building a web of more and more information and more deterrence power. And at the same time, you can't get around regulating with traditional auditing, reducing corruption, having people on the ground, going checking receipts, because unless you can back up these messages with the automatic, mechanical, electronic data by some real boots on the ground that are going to follow up and actually take somebody to court or do an audit, nobody will actually respond positively to the deterrence messages. So I prepared a bit too much because I always get overexcited. So I'm going to summarize briefly the fourth study about the audits. So I just said audits are really important, right? So we worked actually on audits in a different area with government purchases. And let me try to see what I missed. So we worked with the auditing agency and with the agency who makes purchases in Chile. The short version of it is that the government in Chile, or I guess in general here too, is trying to get people, when they make purchases for the government, to do a public auction, to make it a competitive process where many people can bid, instead of you just going to the store and buying yourself if you're a government official. So the idea is that this will make the process more competitive and also more fair. And economists typically think that these audits are just, information extraction. But what we find, and if you're interested why, I can tell you more in the break, but what we find is that the way the audits were designed made it such that actually after the entities were audited, they did less public auctions and more direct contracting. And so we're going to just say the conclusion. So what happens is mechanically, doing an auction is a long, complicated process. That's why you even have to give incentive. Please do an auction. I know it's annoying, but please do an auction, right? It has many steps. Also, one of the reasons we like auctions is it's much more transparent. So there's a long paper trail. There's many things you can review. There's many items. And so what happened in this case is that when you get audited for an auction, there are 2.5 times more checks that the auditors do than when you get audited for a direct contract. So on the one hand, government is saying, please do auctions. On the other hand, if you do an auction, they're checking all these things, and then it turns out, people are human, they make mistakes. You're twice as likely to have done something wrong somewhere in this detailed check of the auction than in direct contracting, which is a very simple process, but much less competitive. And so we found that once you got audited, you actually got punished for using the better modality the government wanted to promote. And this led to less competitive auctions, higher prices, and more contracts just being given to the same person again than had it last time. And so the Chilean control agency then now, in response, increased the scrutiny of this. When you just do direct contracting, did you justify that correctly? Another thing that I think they should do, I'm not sure they're gonna, is to actually change this protocol so that they don't mechanically just punish the use of more complex processes. Okay, so to conclude, just want to give you a little bit of a flavor of what I'm working on now. We're going to do a project on international profit shifting by multinational firms, not by these small domestic firms in Chile. I'm working with Lorenzo, who just left with the baby, but was going to sure be here for happy hour if you want to learn learn about Kenya. He's been working for a long time in Kenya, and we're working with the Chilean Tax Authority and to see whether we can help firms or firm owners pay their taxes more conveniently by adjusting more the timing of the payments to a time that's good for them to pay. And lastly, we're working on a number of projects where we're using this tax data not to study tax, but to study an economy. So, you know, you had these, you have all these paper trails, right, like from the receipts that tells us for how one firm is related to another, and which firm buys when from which firm what, and this is obviously useful for tax enforcement, but it's also really interesting for economists who can see all the flows in the network between firms. So, for example, on one project that we're working on now, we're studying what happens to a firm when they win, and they have an exogenous shock, they have more revenue because they win a big contract from the government, and how that spreads to other firms that they are trading with. So we were using the tax data to study economic development. So outside of the actual academic research, I'm also sort of on a private interest. We're working a lot on helping on boards of organizations that help other people's research that found things to be very effective, and how can we work with governments to scale that up to reach many people. So these are 3 projects. So the first one from Evidence Action. This is the famous deworming pills that many of you may have heard about, that when you give children who are in high warm prevalence areas deworming pills, they can actually learn much better. They go to school longer, and there's now long-term studies that they earn much more money later on. So we're working with the government of India, this reaching actually 200 million people with the deworming. We're also working in Kenya and in Malawi. And the second project is about giving easy access to chlorine. You know, this goes a bit with the behavioral economics that a lot of people in Zurich do. You know, we all know that human beings are a creature of convenience, right? All of us, same thing for people in Kenya. And so if you have to go to the store and buy chlorine, because maybe next month then you don't get sick, then you're busy, you may not do it. So we all sometimes think we should go to the gym and you don't show up, right? Same thing. Or we don't use the soap in the toilet unless it's right at the toilet. So this is like a soap dispenser, but it's chlorine, and it's at the place here as well where related you're catching water. And so they can, you do one thing, you have 20 liters of water that's chlorinated. And the third project is TAM Together Against Malaria, that distributes free mosquito nets against malaria, which is thought to have led to 400,000 annually less people dying because of these mosquito nets that many people now have. So this is the international in Switzerland. I mean, for those of you who came because you want to like walk in economics 2 for policy making, I think in Switzerland there's many organizations now that are starting, some of you are in this room actually now, who are trying to use more evidence-based or evidence-informed thinking in Swiss government decisions. And helping to bring this type of methodology or this type of approach also to decisions, not just about international decisions, but like how can we do school reforms here, or what's the best way to allocate refugees to different locations so they can integrate better and things like that. So it's a very exciting time also in Switzerland for this type of work. So last, I just want to thank a lot of people. So first, here's all the schools and institutions starting, and actually some of my teachers are here from primary school, which is very exciting, and which is actually across the road from where my new office is, which is weird. After 20 years away from Zurich, that I now came back to the same tram stop where I went to primary school, and the same tram stop where I went to high school, which is also somebody here from my high school, which is also very exciting. I think there's nobody here from a Geneva undergraduate graduate school because it's a bit far. And then I went to the US, I was at Harvard, I was at the Corporate Action Lab, and had a job at the Harvard Business School, and all these places obviously helped me grow and become curious. And I think the most important is like I see now that I'm a teacher is like just not stopping people. Like I feel like when there were sort of 2 types of teachers, right? Some teacher that says, please Dina, shut up and be quiet, and some teacher says, you know, it's really great, keep going. And I want to thank everyone who did that because I didn't stop and I mattered. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking because I get sentimental. I'm not going to thank my family because it's not Oscars. So here are the institutions that have the research. So Fundesperanza, the tax authorities, the auditing agencies, and this is really, these are my day-to-day partners in the research. It's probably what kept me in academia. The fact that I can work with these practical organizations all the time, it's so exciting. And then, my co-authors, Lorenzo, who's just left the room, but also my research team, many of them are here, and who have helped prepare these slides and help prepare everything, who are really amazing and who make life so much more pleasant. And then lastly, the University of Zurich. I'm so thrilled to be back in Zurich. I never actually thought anymore that I would come back. This is such a great place that I did come back, and I'm very excited to be back. And then I want to thank Anne-Marie, who is responsible for all this happening and organized all the logistics and helps me with all the things. And she is responsible that we have an apro now, I think downstairs, where I'll talk much more about all of these things. So thank you very, very much.